Welcome to the Advanced Freelancing Podcast. Every week, you'll hear strategies for building your online service-based business your way. And now, here's your host, veteran freelancer, author, and TEDx speaker, Laura Briggs.
Hey listeners, thanks for tuning in for your weekly dose of strategy for your freelance business. Today's episode is inspired by a LinkedIn post that I wrote in response to the idea that you really can't do everything, nor should you try. So I'm going to be talking today in this episode all about how to be strategic with choosing what you allow yourself to be bad at. I'm going to tell you more where I got that idea and how I have used that in the last year to really transform my business and give myself so much permission to let certain things go. So this episode is inspired by someone who reached out to me with good intentions, wanting to know why I put so little effort into my Instagram account. And certainly a valid question, because as online entrepreneurs, we spend a lot of time building our brand and making sure we put ourselves out there where our audience is spending time. And it's certainly true that at least half of my business could be impacted by a good Instagram strategy, but the truth is that the other half wouldn't, right? And so I have chosen specifically not to invest in putting a whole lot of effort into learning the Instagram algorithm and spending time creating content or remembering to post 10 times a day or whatever it might be. Because the other half of my business, freelance writing for lawyers, those clients are not on Instagram. So for me to go all in on that strategy would really just be something that pulls my focus away. And so a very good question that was asked, and I think it's valuable to talk about for all freelancers because this definitely applies both in your business life as a freelance service provider and in your personal life too. So I got this idea when listening to an audiobook by John Acuff, and I love his work. If you have not heard of him before, I really love his work. It's great to listen to as an audiobook if you're driving. He's very funny. He does the narration for most of them. And this particular idea came from his book Finish, which is all about, why so many people can start projects or can set a goal, but really struggle to follow through and to finish that. And so there's a lot of great concepts in the book, but the one that I'm talking about today is called Choosing What to Bomb. And in the book, John talks about how for him, his lawn was something that he felt a lot of pressure about. He wanted his yard to look good. His neighbors put a lot of effort into their yard. He felt like it was a personal failure when he just couldn't get the grass in his lawn to grow the way that he wanted or to have the landscaping exactly perfect. And that ended up kind of driving him a little bit crazy. And it seems like a minor thing, right? So why put so much pressure on something like making sure that your lawn looks good? Because this is really indicative of something that a lot of us do without even thinking about it. We try to take on so many things at once that we feel the need to be good at, that there is nothing on that list that is like nothing on the other side of that list that's where you're choosing to be bad, where you are allowing yourself to fail. So for the author, his permission was to allow himself to laser in on the things he really wanted to focus on at that point in time, which might be spending time with his family, working on a book, doing a speaking tour, and simultaneously saying, because I'm narrowing my focus on this one thing I want to be good at, I am letting go not only the idea of working on my lawn and making it perfect, but even the mere thought of that being something important that shows up on my to-do list or something that makes me feel guilty while I focus on these other things. So one of the quotes from his book that I really love is this: "You only have two options right now. Attempt more than is humanly possible and fail, or choose what to bomb and succeed at a goal that matters." I see this come up in my own life, both business and personal, and it's been a really helpful tool from releasing me from that internal pressure of, oh, I should be doing that. I should care about that. That should come up higher in my list, but it consistently doesn't. The idea is that there will never be any shortage of things you could be doing. And I see this show up for freelancers a lot, particularly when I have a coaching call that is focused on marketing. So a lot of times someone will show up to that call and will say, I know that marketing is my problem. I know I'm not doing enough to bring in new clients. I'm not making enough of an effort to market my business. And so here are the 10 ideas I have to start being really, really good at marketing. So first of all, there's a problem here because the gap between where they're at and where they think they need to be is massive. Because normally I'm talking to someone who does maybe 2 hours of marketing a month or gets on Upwork once a week to look for freelance clients. And that's their current marketing method. Now that's making them feel really bad and realize that their business isn't where they want it to be, probably because they're not doing enough marketing, but they feel like the solution is I need to be marketing 10 hours a week. And when we set goals like that, similarly to how you might set a financial goal for the next month in your freelance business, you want to set a goal that pushes you and stretches you a little bit, but is not doing so just for the sake of doing it. Because if that gap is really big, even if you make traction and progress towards that goal that you should celebrate, you will end up just feeling guilty about it. So let's say that I'm talking to a freelancer who's making $1,000 a month right now, and their goal is, I want to get to 8K months. Possible? Absolutely. However, if the systems and the structure they have at $1,000 a month is not set up to scale to 8K, the freelancer automatically assumes I need to do 8 times the work to get to 8K. And if they're not already doing that and are already feeling bad about the fact that they're not doing that, it's very unlikely they're going to have an 8K month immediately after a 1K month. Now, they might have a $3,000 month, but instead of feeling like, wow, I tripled my business, their focus, because of the goal they set, is I didn't come anywhere near that $8,000 month I wanted to have, that magic number that I'm hoping to get to monthly to have a 6-figure year as a freelancer. So there's a couple problems, as you can see, with that gap between where you are now and where you think you need to be. The other issue with that is that you cannot succeed at everything. You cannot be laser focused on marketing and your finances and hiring team members and building your brand visibility and raising your prices and all at the same time. And because business owners are very trained to look for gaps, they're very trained to look for where something is falling short, where they could do better. It's a very natural place to go to start creating a big list of all the things you can do better, right? Like, oh, I should totally start my retirement account, and I really should also hire a CPA. And, your brain just kind of starts running through the list of all the things you've quote unquote failed at as you're thinking about where to focus next. But when you focus on so many things, or you focus on even too many in the same sort of grouping, like too many financial goals at once, too many marketing goals at once, you're unlikely to succeed at any of them. So let's go back and revisit that quote from Jon Acuff. You only have 2 options right now: attempt more than is humanly possible and fail, or choose what to bomb and succeed at a goal that matters. So around this time last year, I was coming back into my freelance business full time. I was scaling back up to clients. I was stepping away from a role I had been in for about a year and a half and making this big transition. And I realized that my tendency was going to be to panic of, oh, now I have to scale my freelance business back up very quickly. I need to replace the income that I am losing. And I felt that pressure that I think a lot of you feel when thinking specifically about marketing, but it applies to lots of areas in your freelance business. And that is, I need to be on the job boards. I need to be on LinkedIn. I need to revisit my cold pitching strategy. I need to make a video pitch. I need to go listen to 10 podcasts about how to convert more clients. And that's fine to recognize that marketing is the area you need to focus on. But if you're not choosing what to bomb, what to fail at the same time, you are setting yourself up for failure for all of the things. And so that's really something powerful to think about. So as you are thinking about what to bomb, I'll give you some examples from my own business. When I made this transition last year, I took a real hard look at where a lot of my business was coming from. And for more advice on this, read the marketing chapter. I think it's chapter 5 in 6-Figure Freelancer, all about advanced marketing techniques for freelancers who are scaling their businesses, because I go into a lot of detail about how to figure out exactly what things you should be putting your marketing emphasis on. But I looked at everything that I could be doing on both sides of my business. And my goal was to figure out what I could bomb, right? What can I allow myself to be bad at, to give myself advance permission to struggle with and just let it go and not even ever feel that pressure of needing to do the thing. So I realized, and I had realized years before, I have never gained one client or $1 from anything ever having to do with Twitter. I also just don't like it as a platform, and it just doesn't appeal to me personally as a user. So I was instantly like, Twitter's off the list. I looked at some things that were getting really low engagement and subject to algorithm changes. My Facebook group is a great example. I would post content in there that used to get viewed by a lot of people and would get a lot of comments. But because of a lot of changes that Facebook was making, people who had proactively opted in to be in my Facebook group and get updates from me, they were never even seeing that information. So I gave myself permission to be bad at that and just not put it on me that that material wasn't being shown to my followers there. And I looked at Instagram and I said, this isn't me throughout the day to stop and take pictures of me in my day-to-day life. It just doesn't occur to me naturally. I feel like I sit in the same spaces every day and do the same things. And unless I'm traveling, my life is not really interesting for Instagram. And I don't want to really be part of a social media platform like Twitter, or Instagram, or Facebook on a business perspective, where it's like the attention spans are getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and people have less and less of a tolerance. And the scroll is moving by too quickly. So I intentionally said Instagram, Twitter, Facebook group, I am choosing to fail at those. We removed them from our monthly KPI discussions for my team behind the scenes. We stopped even caring if my Facebook business page got followers. And I chose to shift my focus from feeling like, well, we need to create content that works on all platforms, to changing it to just two, right? So by saying, here's what's really important to me, my podcast and my LinkedIn. That's it. I don't care about any of these other numbers, because by thinking, even having that pressure of, oh, this is ultimately going to go on Twitter or Instagram or in my Facebook group, it was affecting how I was writing the content on the platforms that I wanted to lead with. And so this had really dramatic results as far as my growth on LinkedIn, getting over 10,000 followers of people who were opting into my content and seeing it and commenting on it and sharing it and sending me messages. I saw increases in downloads of this podcast, within a month or so of really going all in and being strategic about the material that I create for the podcast, and after how we repurpose that content. And at the same time, I've liberated myself from the pressure of caring about whether people are joining the Facebook group or whether people are following me on Instagram. I mean, maybe I've added 10 followers on Instagram in the last year, right? As compared to thousands of followers on LinkedIn and increases in downloads on the podcast. And so giving myself that permission in advance was really, really helpful. Now, how do you apply this to your freelance business? I did the same thing when I was coming back to my freelance business. And that is to say, what are the marketing methods that I can use and the screening methods I can use to make sure I'm getting the right clients on my roster? And I'm going to give myself permission to close down every other profile, any other website, any other marketing method that isn't working. So I was on some agency email lists where the agencies were really difficult to work with. And coming back into freelancing full time, it's totally tempting to go back to those places, right? Well, at least it's consistent work, and things like that. That's how we tend to think about it. But I realized that I needed to step away. I needed to get myself off of those email lists. I needed to tell certain platforms to take my profile down. I needed to really lean in to the two methods that were going to work the most for me. And that increased my freelance business bottom line by 60%, just by saying, I'm okay with not being good at Upwork right now. I am okay with not being on every freelance writing listserv. I am okay with doing no cold pitching whatsoever for the next 6 months. And so what you choose to be focused on and fail at may be different from my list, but I want you to take an action step from listening to this podcast. And that is, I want you to pick 3 things to be bad at. They can all be in your business, or they can be in your personal life and your business. So for example, you might say, I'm choosing to be bad at my bookkeeping, right? That doesn't mean you abandon your bookkeeping, but you say, what software can I have take this over for me? What freelancer can I hire? How can I make bookkeeping as simple as possible so that I don't even feel the pressure to be a 10 out of 10 perfectionist about it? And I find that even in my personal life, this is really helpful, right? You might choose to be bad at laundry and outsource it, or have someone else in your family pick that up as a chore, or do something that makes laundry really simple, like Steve Jobs it and wear the same outfit every single day. Look for things that are going to help you be okay with failing at something, because in this way, you're totally reconsidering what failing looks like. It means you're just not even trying and that there's no judgment attached to that. That's different than saying, my big goal is to run a marathon and I'm a huge failure because I haven't even done my first 5K yet, or something like that. So one way that I have given myself permission to fail is I didn't want to think about what to buy at the grocery store every single week. I really wanted, I wanted to give myself permission to fail at feeling like I needed to find the recipes and screen the recipes and make the extensive grocery list and go to the store. So it doesn't mean that I'm failing, because we still cook. I still cook 6 nights a week and we still eat healthy food. But a lot of that is because I have a HelloFresh box that delivers 3 to 4 meals a week that takes thinking about dinner off the table. I don't have to find the recipe. I don't have to source the ingredients. So it's okay for me to fail at attempting to be a gourmet home cook, because that's not what's important to me right now at this moment in my life. So I hope there's some takeaways from this for you that you can apply to your freelance business. Maybe it's marketing methods, maybe it's other things that you feel the pressure to be good at, but you don't really need to do, or they don't really have results. You can give yourself permission to fail at going to local networking events. If your clients are not local and you don't think anyone in your local area would hire you, you can give yourself permission to fail at going on a speaking tour. If public speaking is not something you're comfortable with and you don't feel like it's going to translate to the results that you want to achieve in your business. So I strongly encourage you, if this struck a nerve with you, I really love John Acuff's stuff. And if finishing things, meeting goals, finishing big non-work projects, if those things are difficult for you or they tend to take a back burner, really check out that book, because he has some great recommendations. But choosing what to bomb is going to be one of the most powerful ones to bring into your life. I know so many freelancers want to accomplish other things because they crush it at delivering work for their clients. When they have a client and they have a deadline, they get it done. But it's at the expense of starting that other business, or writing a novel, or going back to painting, or taking a community arts class, or something that's a passion within them, because those things get backburnered. So this is another way to tap into doing less work and doing more of some of the other things that you care about in your life, by saying, you know what, I am choosing to work on my novel right now. And because of that, I am going to fail at grocery shopping, and I'm just going to have someone deliver it to me for the next 6 weeks while I work on this novel. Or I'm choosing to be bad at taking care of my yard, but that's because these other things are more important to me at this point in time. So I'd love to hear from you if you've been able to implement this into your business or your personal life. Continue to revisit it. You can always recalibrate what you choose to bomb and what you choose to be good at, but it has dramatically helped me laser in on what's really most important, right? And I've gone through probably several phases in my business since coming back to freelancing full time, where the first was replace income and make sure that I have a financially robust freelance business again. And then shifting back into, okay, I'm getting ready for book launches and I'm getting ready to incorporate travel when it's safe into my life again. And by helping my mother-in-law to be able to move near us and helping her pack up. And so all of those times I have adjusted what I allow myself to fail at in exchange for something else that I want to put my efforts into, or that I want to be really good at during this time. So thanks so much for being a listener of this show. I'd love it if you can share my podcast with a freelance friend. This is really the number one way that I increase the number of people that this show reaches. And I hear it all the time. Oh, so-and-so recommended this to me. I heard about this from this other freelancer, and now I've gone back and binged all these episodes. So if you have a freelance friend who is looking for some help with strategy, mindset, and growing their business, please recommend this show to them. It is really the greatest thank you that I can receive. And it means so much to me when someone passes this along personally.